you are going to play me at the collision.
Fine. You're seeing two of the best teams of all time. We won one, they won one. Let's let this third one decide it once and for all.
On today's show, Shazam says, big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. The Joker finally gets a green light. Who's going to be in it? Not Ben Affleck. He's got a different movie that's next for him. Movie Talk starts right now. It'd be cool to see Affleck in in that Joker movie. Not going to happen. Don't even know if we're going to get a Batman at all, but I do know that this is Clutter Movie Talk, and we have ourselves a very vitamin C friendly and also still slumbering Jeff Snyder, and this is the surprisingly
Joker, Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Sailor Mouth Perri Nemiroff. You did it, buddy. You're here. You're up. What happened to you last night?
Oh, man. Sorry. Late night responding to YouTube commenters on the Schmodown.
I'm sure that's what it was. You were on YouTube after hours. Perri Nemiroff, you, on the other hand, look fresh as a daisy this morning, as you always are.
I am. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and I went for a run.
What? You went for a run at 5 in the morning? Who are you?
It's really hot outside, so if you don't go before the sun comes up, then you're kind of kicking yourself for it.
Well, yeah, which means that you just don't go that day and you just kind of take a break until September. I mean, that's how I play my running game.
No,
Taking a break till September.
Yeah, it's look. My workout schedule is set by the NFL season. Once I start to see them start sweating in training camp, that's when I'll think about working out. I watch Hard Knocks. I get inspired to work out. You, on the other hand, can barely get out of bed. You feeling okay?
I'm doing just fine. Better than John Roca, I'll tell you that.
Is he? What's wrong with Roca?
Oh, he's out sick.
Oh, gee. Okay.
Guys,
well,
Roca won't be here today. Bummer.
John Roca, we hope that you are feeling better. And before we get to our first breaking news story, I want to tell you guys to check out our friends at SWAGBUCKS. Basically, SWAGBUCKS is a great way to earn extra cash. You can win rewards. I got some movie tickets because of it. Basically, what you do is you go to SWAGBUCKS. We have a convenient link for you to click in our description, and you can go take some online surveys. You can play games, watch videos, do a bunch of different things, and it's all in the name of getting you extra cash, getting you some cool rewards. Like I said, I got movie tickets. That's how I'm going to go see the Mr. Rogers movie this weekend, is thanks to SWAGBUCKS. It's a really cool service, so go check them out. The link is in this vid's description. When you click the link in this vid's description, you get a $5 gift card on SWAGBUCKS, courtesy of us here at Collider. So thank you to SWAGBUCKS. Check it out. You guys will not be disappointed, especially for all you movie fans looking for some extra bucks or some free movie tickets out there. Well, a movie that you may want to go check out next year is the DC film Shazam. We'll probably get a cool trailer at Comic-Con, and now we have our first official image courtesy of Entertainment Weekly. This is not the first image we've seen of Shazam, because we've had some people who actually watch Collider take some on-set photos that we don't encourage, but hey, you were just trying to take a pic for your friends, right? You weren't trying to get it out there to the public. This one, on the other hand, is out there for the world to see. It's Shazam and the kid from It, and they're just chugging some, it looks like, is it beer? Is it soda? I don't know what it is, but this is clearly a different tone DC movie than what we have been accustomed to, and I think that that is by design, and the character of Shazam also lends itself to a lighter tone. David F. Sandberg directing this movie. So, Jeff, you're awake now. You're ready to go. Does this picture put you back to sleep, or does this get you excited for a light and a happy version of the DC movie?
This DC movie might have a lighter tone, but it has a serious message, and that's that heroes need to stay hydrated.
Heroes need to stay hydrated, and they also still need to brown bag it. You can't just drink it out in the open. You got to keep it in the bag. Perri Nemiroff, you see this image. You know that we don't like reading too much into one particular picture, and to be honest with you, this isn't exactly like an image of Aquaman where you're like, oh, what the hell's going on? This is just dudes outside a convenience store in costumes.
It is, but it does paint a clear picture of exactly what you're getting for people who don't know Shazam. Because, I've done a little bit of research. I'm not familiar with the source material, but I've heard that Big comparison quite a bit, and I love the movie Big. This image was the first time that I got that kind of wave of excitement for that part of the story. I love the look of it. Also, they don't need a brown bag. It says cola on the box.
Oh, it's okay.
So they're good. They're good.
They are drinking cola. I didn't know what it was, but it did remind me, as I made the crack in our pre-roll here. Like it reminded me of the scene in Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey's walking at a convenience store and just sees two guys hanging out. Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. Like, that's all I got from this. I gleaned nothing from this other than this is a different tone, and I think that that's why this was the first official image that they released. As we move on to another DC property, it's a different DC. This is not the DCU, but it is the Joker, perhaps the most popular villain of all time. The Joaquin Phoenix played Joker movie has officially been greenlit and announced. It will be directed by noted comedy director Todd Phillips, and the movie is set to go into production and start shooting this September. So we don't necessarily know if anybody named Batman is going to show up, if he's even going to be around in this universe. But I do tell you that not only Phillips is directing, he also co-wrote the script, Perry. This is described by Warner Brothers as an exploration of a man disregarded by a society that is not only a gritty character study, but also a broader cautionary tale. This could be the biography of Jeff Snyder. It is not. It is about the Joker. How do you feel about the Joaquin Phoenix description?
Can't be about Jeff Snyder, because as we established yesterday, Jeff Snyder is the Crow. So we'll see his movie.
Oh, that's right.
Never.
That's right.
I'm really excited about this. Obviously, we've talked about it to death because this has been rumored for a very long time. And then finally we get the confirmation. I'm glad it's confirmed. And I think the thing in this THR report that piques my interest most is when they suggest that the budget is around $55 million. That excites me to no end. And it takes me back to a quote that Ryan Reynolds had given when they were talking about X-Force versus Deadpool 3, and how he was saying something along the lines of he wouldn't want to do Deadpool 3 if the budget balloons and gets even bigger. He would want to do it small and take more risks. And when I see 55 million versus 200 plus that we get for most of these superhero movies now, that to me says these risks and these different things that they're going to do, they're actually going to do them, and it's going to make it stand out from everything we've seen before. So as much as I like to have, neat and organized presentation of my film franchises, and the idea of 2 Joker movies is still making my head spin, if one of them is going to take risks like I think this one will, yes.
Yeah, Jeff Perry's saying it's a taking a risk, and I agree with that. I also think that we're putting on the lab coats, and this is an experiment. And this is a fun experiment. This is one that I am all for, because you don't know what's going to happen with this, but you know that you're going to get a pretty good sample size from what audiences might want to get from DC characters. Not the DCU, but these characters that we've come to know and love and that are in the pop culture. They're in the zeitgeist, so why not do an experiment? The Joker's the one that they're leading off with. Is that the right play for you, or do you think that they should do it with maybe a lesser-known villain or a superhero?
No, I think that this is actually perfect. I think this is exactly how DC competes with Marvel, is doing these one-offs. You're only going to see Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in one movie. I think that is how you get a better level of talent to these movies, by not locking them into these really long contracts. Obviously, Todd Phillips, I think he's a really good director. He's never done anything like this, but when you're working on a $55 million budget with this kind of known IP, I don't really think that you can go wrong. I like that we're not going to be getting these huge action sequences. I think what is fascinating about the Joker is his psychology, and this is shaping up to be more of a character study. I think you're going to see De Niro in this movie. I think...
You think we're going to see Robert De Niro in the Joker movie?
Yeah, I do. Yep. I think.
What are you hearing? Is this why you were up late last night?
No. This has been rumored. Someone put it out there that there's interest in him. Now, the only thing that concerns me is that we heard De Niro's name linked to this when we still thought Scorsese was producing. And what was super interesting about yesterday's Greenlight story is that Scorsese's name is off the project. And yet, Emma Tillinger-Koskoff, who is Scorsese's producing partner, she is still producing the film. So it's not like Scorsese and his company are entirely out of the picture, but why did this guy take his name off it as executive producer? That is a huge question mark.
Yeah, because you would think that if they did have Scorsese involved with this movie at all, in the same sense that with Steven Spielberg is even just executive producing something, being very hands-off like he is with the Transformers franchise, you still make note that this hugely famous, one of the best of all time directors is involved in the project. So you think Scorsese has nothing to do with it? Do you think that would cost this movie a shot at having somebody like a Robert De Niro.
Not necessarily. I mean, when you look at the crowd that De Niro's doing lately, not to mention his new movie, The War with Grandpa, is held up in the Weinstein Company, Michigas. So I just think De Niro needs to get back out there doing some bigger movies, working with a guy like Joaquin on a kind of gritty, do a superhero movie, but don't do like a big Marvel or DC movie. That doesn't make sense to me for Robert De Niro. This does.
But I mean, he's so well known in the world of crime dramas where, De Niro can do, movies that aren't necessarily critically acclaimed or even good, like that Bad Grandpa movie he did with Zac Efron. But anytime you have De Niro's name and it's linked to a crime drama, even if it's something that doesn't turn out to be good, like Righteous Kill, we still are going to give it more credibility than we might otherwise, especially with the fact that De Niro is back with Scorsese working on something like The Irishman. Perri, if I give you a Robert De Niro in this movie, who do you think he would play? And do you think that it lends the credibility that I think it does?
Oh, man, I don't know the source material or even what this is officially based on, considering I've read so many different rumors. So I couldn't give you a specific role, but obviously a project like this would be lucky to have him. With the Martin Scorsese thing, I do wonder, and you probably have more insight on this than I would, this being a THR report and not necessarily an official press release, is it possible that his name could have just been left out of this particular report?
It's possible, but I actually think because I read a couple of the trade reports, one of them actually addressed it and said that Scorsese is no longer involved as a producer or an executive. I think he was probably shaping up to be an executive producer on this. As for De Niro's role, I don't think he's playing some, canon type character. I think he's playing like a local TV host or something like that. Who's maybe broadcasting about the Joker, I'm not
very specific.
I'm not entirely sure. I do know that one character who has a big role in this is going to be Thomas Wayne.
Thomas Wayne is going to have a big role, so maybe this takes place before the advent of Batman, where Batman is still a little kid. All you Gotham fans, it's going to be a good time at the movie theaters. Now, this movie could come out as early as late 2019. Is that the best release date? Is my question, because look, you hear the term Oscar bandied about because somebody who played the Joker won an Oscar for playing the Joker. I don't think you're going to see that happen for a while. You may see superhero movies get nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, things like that. Having somebody nominated for playing a villain is tough enough. For playing the Joker, when we had a statue given to somebody who played the Joker, that's very tough. Joaquin Phoenix certainly has the ability to do it, and if this movie came out in late 2019, obviously it would have that Oscar consideration because of its release date. Is that the best time to release this, or do you guys see this as more of a summer movie, albeit not a tentpole summer movie, because we're only putting $55 million into this experiment?
The idea of this being darker and more experimental does say to me, Halloween time versus a big summer crowd. And especially, let's say the movie does really start shooting in September and it comes out in 2019. That probably means there are no gigantic visual effects heavy set pieces. So that also to me says, late in the year release, not necessarily summer. The whole Oscar thing is just this huge leap in my mind at this point where, Joaquin Phoenix is obviously very capable of scoring himself a nomination, but I haven't read the script. There's no buzz about the quality of the script in that sense, so I'm not ready to go there yet, but Oscar or no Oscar, it does feel to me, based on what we've heard so far, that this is a late in the year picture, not something that has summer explosions in it.
See, I think this could work in the summer too, though, because I don't think every summer tentpole movie needs the huge effects and explosions that you're talking about. Obviously, that's what we know summer movies for. But I think that if you had a trailer and you had source like promo material, and all it had is just Joaquin Phoenix looking like a very damaged crime boss Joker, doesn't that get butts in seats, Jeff?
I'm not sure, because Joaquin is typically not a big box office draw.
But the Joker is.
The Joker is. I really don't think it matters when you release this movie. I think it's going to do well, just based on the budget alone. Like, the math works. I think that I see it as more of a fall release, just because I wouldn't want to put it up against these huge blockbusters and risk it being overshadowed. Plus, it's DC Dark, or they're going to be launching that new label with this movie, and that doesn't necessarily scream summer to me.
Well, also, if they continue with the DCEU, those are more the summer movies, so you would want to have something that you could position elsewhere. Also, when you consider the timeline for something like this, if you did plop it down in the summer, then you're also concerned about quality because it shaves off however many months of actually finishing work on this thing.
Right. And the other thing is that you have to keep in mind, this is an origin story. So it's not like he's going to be the Joker right off the bat. He could be a normal guy who's just disturbed for half the movie or even 3/4 of the movie. And it's not until the end that you see him in the makeup. So it'll be interesting to see how they market this movie, in terms of what they have to work with.
Just don't release it in August. That's my one plea. Because if this movie comes out in August, I just feel like, they took a shot and they missed. That's the 1 month. Not every movie that comes out in August is bad. I'm just saying for this particular style of movie, I don't want to see it come out in August. If anything, I think it might make sense in the beginning of the summer or Halloween. I think because Perri makes a great point. The DCEU, they might have a tentpole movie that they have coming out during the summer. So release this around Halloween. Again, you have a very scary looking, creepy crime boss clown. I think it works for Halloween. I think that this movie could work for any time of the year, but I think I might look at late 2019.
I'm just hoping I want to see Taxi Driver. I want to see Taxi Driver, and instead at the end where he goes shooting everybody, he puts on makeup. That's what I want to see.
You see, You Were Never Really Here? Is that the movie?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did see it. It's good. A lot of people are calling it one of the best movies of the year. I think that's crazy. There's no story. It's just so thin.
I thought it was a really good. I can't say it's one of my favorites of the year. I think Joaquin Phoenix gives one of the best performances of the year. But you see that movie and you're like, yeah, I could see this guy. You twist a couple. You have a couple synapses that fire differently in that guy's brain. You got yourself a Joker.
Give the Joker a hammer, Mark.
The hammers figure prominently into that movie. We move on to Disney. They're playing some release date shuffle. It's a little bit of a 3-card Monty. Look here, look here. Don't look for Indiana Jones until 2021 is when the movie's coming out. So set your dates now. July 9th is when the movie is set to release now. That's what they say because the movie got pushed back a whole year because we didn't like the script and we got to go back and retool some things. So production on that movie has been canceled. For right now, it's just been pushed back to 2021 as its release date. In the meantime, Jungle Cruise has moved up to October 11th, and that is in 2019. So a year and, 5 months from now, you're going to see Jungle Cruise. That is obviously the hopeful for Disney franchise starter starring The Rock and Emily Blunt. In 2020, Disney's long-awaited sequel to Maleficent is going to come out May 29th. So they're looking at that being one of their summer tentpole movies. Say whatever you want about the first Maleficent. I've said a lot about it. Made a lot of money, did very well here, did very well overseas, so that is a cash cow. A little closer on the calendar is this year's release dates for Disney, where Mary Poppins Returns has been moved up from Christmas Day to December 19th. And that is very interesting because it looks like they're not giving a whole lot of breathing room to a guy named Aquaman. Now, he doesn't breathe air. He breathes water with his gills. But is this going to crowd the Christmas movie dollar for either Aquaman or Mary Poppins Returns? If these two would go head-to-head, who do you see coming out on top, Jeff?
Aquaman. I think... of yesterday's Disney dating announcements, Indiana Jones 5 got the big headlines, and there was a lot of talk about, is this Marvel movie that has moved from July to February, Black Panther 2.
That's a good point. Yeah, they announced that there's going to be a Marvel movie that is going to move from originally slated in July up to February 12th, and that's in 2021.
Right.
So, again, that could be a Black Panther.
There was a lot of talk about Indiana Jones and potentially Black Panther 2. This was the most interesting thing in that whole announcement. It was the Mary Poppins thing. To get a 2-day jump on Aquaman and, what's the other one? Bumblebee. That is just Disney just whipping it out and laying it on the table and saying, we dare you.
With Mary Poppins.
It's a real finger in the eye to Warner Brothers. I kind of love that Disney does that, and I don't know why studios don't do more of it. Like, I thought Disney was brilliant to move up Avengers as well week when they did that.
Not every studio has the IP to do
but
it.
No, you're absolutely right. I think Warner Brothers should move up Aquaman by 2 days and get out in front of Bumblebee and go head to head with Mary Poppins because I think that they can win that one.
I think that they can win that one regardless. Look, Mary, okay, you guys know how I feel about Mary Poppins, okay? Am I the most excited guy in the world that she's returning? No, I'm not. I think she's maybe top 10 all-time on-screen babysitters. I like Mary Poppins. She's fine, but she's nothing compared to what Aquaman could do at the box office. However, I got to disagree with you here, Jeff, because I think if DC moved up Aquaman, I think that's going to look like a panic move on DC. DC has already been accused of being very reactionary to what the other studio is doing. They set up the Avengers. Oh, shit, now we got to get Batman v Superman out. You know, I think you do. I think you stick to that.
Let's forget about the perception for a second, though. Whether it looks like a panic move or reactionary or what, like what is going to put this movie in the best financial position to succeed? And I think it is getting the 2-day jump on Bumblebee.
Does the reaction to whatever we see from Aquaman at Comic-Con change that at all? If we love what we see from this first Aquaman trailer and the panel's great, Perri, do you think that this is going to solidify Aquaman as the Christmas season tentpole over Mary Poppins and Bumblebee?
I think it'll have an effect. But when we're talking about how much these movies make opening weekend, and in the long run, it's not just the Comic-Con audience, it's audiences everywhere. And that's why I put my money that weekend on Mary Poppins. Woo. And I would have put my money on it whether it had its opening weekend after, during the original release, but I think this is the smartest move ever. I think what they essentially did was kind of not necessarily bury. I'm not saying those other movies don't have a chance of making any money, but they just took a lot of money from all those other films. And originally I thought that was a great date for Mary Poppins just because it was pretty much the only wide release that last weekend, and it was going to have a little time to itself. But when you think about, especially if Aquaman and Bumblebee are good, and it does seem like at this point in time, the buzz on both of them are pretty positive. If those things are good, having that 2-day jump is going to make a major difference. And I even just look at a different example and go to how The Purge did. The Purge made a lot of money Wednesday and Thursday before Ant-Man and the Wasp came out. If the same thing is applied here, I think Mary Poppins is going to make a good sum of money before any of those and it's not even just those two. That weekend, it's Alita, Aquaman, Bumblebee, Holmes and Watson, and Welcome to Marwen. And obviously, you know, there's not necessarily direct competition. They're different genres, but that is a huge, huge weekend.
All coming after Spider-Man, too. You know, Mary Poppins will be 5 days after
Spider-Verse,
Into the Spider-Verse.
And Mortal Engines, which I'm predicting will tank anyway.
That'll tank hard, yeah.
I worry about some of these movies that aren't the you know, I mean, I think Bumblebee's going to do very well because it's got that Transformers, although, you know, Snyder cried at the trailer, and I really liked it too, it still has that Transformers glow about it where people...
Is it a glow or a stink?
It's for the guy who's sick at home watching us right now, John Roca. It's a glow, and it's like, oh, this feels still like Transformers, just a better version of it. So I think that's going to have an international appeal to it. I'm looking at the release dates right now. I still think it would look like a panic move for us right now, and we probably would be yapping about it on Movie Talk. Might be the smartest thing for the DCEU after all. If you move up Aquaman, listen to this: Friday, December 7th. There's nothing. You have
that first week in December is always super empty.
Mary, Queen of Scots in limited release, and Anna and the Apocalypse.
That's where Fox should be moving Alita Battle Angel, because that movie is going to get wrecked.
Why are all these movies waiting until then?
They do it every year. And listen, I was wrong last year about Greatest Showman, which I was like, who the hell is going to go see this musical? And then it proved to have incredible legs. Even Jumanji, there was some nervousness around that, and it ended up doing super well. So, you know, movies are able to emerge from the Christmas pack, but every now and then, the one or two just get forgotten and left behind in the dust.
It does seem like only a matter of time before someone carves out one of those first 2 weekends in December and hits it really big, just like we've seen happen at the end of January. And also some weeks, I mean, you were mentioning end of August before. End of August, beginning of September is normally next to nothing, and that was right around the time when it broke box office records. So I feel like it's only a matter of time before someone does that at the beginning of September, and all of a sudden that becomes a hot date.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me that studios just, I know that they you know, allot their budgets for the year with their certain big release dates. If you have like 2 summer tentpoles that are May and July, then you have a big Christmas movie. But like, why wouldn't you want that end of August or that beginning of December date? You're going up against movies that either the end of August are just the dumping ground, or they're movies that were going to be Oscar bait and just ended up not being that, like Tulip Fever. It's like, oh, well, it's got Oscar pedigree, just not that good. So open something else up against that. Or the beginning of December, it's like, there's just, I don't understand why you crowd it. I mean, I get it because it's like that's when all the kids are out for winter break, but I think that if you open a movie earlier, you can still go see that movie. And if you have positive word of mouth on something like Aquaman or even Alita Battle Angel, it could just give it more momentum going up once Mary Poppins finally opens.
Well, it's just history. I understand the concern about releasing a movie then compared to a season. There's a reason it's the summer movie movie season. It's because that's when there's a lot of money going around and there's kids off from school. There's a lot of reasons for people to be going to the movies. So it's just about something taking that risk, taking that chance.
All right. Well, we're going to take a chance here, I guess, and move away from the very exciting Disney chat. That was a good conversation, guys. I'm proud of us. Let's mark that as something to watch when we get into the game film room. Djimon Hounsou has been announced that he's playing the wizard, the ancient wizard that bestowed Billy Batson with his powers in Shazam. Hey, we just saw an image from that, and now we're seeing the guy who gave the guy his powers. Djimon Hounsou's role was kept under wraps. We didn't know who was playing the wizard. There were a lot of rumors about who was playing the wizard, so now it looks like Hounsou is the one, and they probably announced this now because we're probably going to see footage from Shazam as early as next week at Comic-Con. So you get in front of it. Maybe Djimon Hounsou's there. It'd be cool to see him on a panel with Zachary Levi and David F. Sandberg and company. So he's playing the wizard. What does this do to your excitement level that's already at fever pitch from that first image that I showed you all at the top of the show? Djimon Hounsou, he's a great actor. I'd certainly buy him as a wizard that can bestow powers, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the character. I know that he's a great actor, and the more great actors you get in a movie, the better the movie is. I'm not terribly familiar with Ron Cephas Jones from This Is Us, who was originally reported as playing the wizard. That's why you have to sort of follow up on these in-talk stories, because they don't always close. There are scheduling issues that come up, and that appears to be what happened here. I think Djimon Hounsou is probably a step up. It doesn't, I have no thoughts on, the fact that he's in the Marvel universe and the DC universe now, whatever. He's just an actor playing a part. I guess it gets me a little bit more excited. Sure.
Well, you should have thoughts on it, because I have a feeling, Perry, my sixth sense, or maybe it's just my nose, is telling me one day this is going to be a question in the movie trivia schmodown. There's a handful of actors, okay, that have been in both a DC property and a Marvel property. Now Djimon Hounsou joins that list because he played Karath the Pursuer in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in a lot of the promo material leading up to the first one. He's the one that confronts Star-Lord at the beginning of the movie. So he's in a Marvel movie and a DC movie. That looks great on a resume.
Captain Marvel too?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
More so than the potential schmodown question. I just like the idea of him being in DC and Marvel because, like Jeff said, he is a super talented actor, and it's about time everybody learns how to say his name properly. I think it's so. I've actually heard him say it's properly pronounced, kind of like Simone, like Djimon. But when American people say it, he's cool with Djimon, like Simon.
Okay,
So
that's good to know.
I thought this was interesting, though, that this broke on EW. The official mouthpiece of Warner Brothers and DC, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's no coincidence that they have this kind of piece of news, and then they also have the first official image, and that leads into what we're going to be experiencing next week. So this is the time when people start talking about this, and this is the hype machine just getting into full gear for Shazam, because I think it'll probably die down a little bit. Then we'll start to see a lot of promo material again once Aquaman hits theaters, whenever Aquaman wants to swim into the multiplexes, and then this movie, Shazam, comes out April 5th of 2019. Well, we're talking an awful lot about comic book movies today, so let's talk about a star of a popular comic book franchise, Ben Affleck. He plays Batman, but that's not his next movie. We don't know if he's ever going to be the Caped Crusader again, but we do know that he has just been added to the cast of Dee Rees's next movie. Dee Rees obviously directed the critically acclaimed and Oscar-nominated Mudbound for Netflix last year. This is also going to be a film on Netflix. Affleck is joining the cast. It stars Anne Hathaway in the movie The Last Thing He Wanted. The movie is also adding Toby Jones, Rosie Perez, and Edie Gathegi to the cast. So The Last Thing He Wanted is based on Joan Didion's 1996 novel, and it follows a hard-scrabbled journalist, Elena McMahon, who inherits her father's position as a deal maker for arms. He's basically a weapons deal maker. She finds herself on dangerous ground as the Iran-Contra affairs arms for drugs plot reaches its tipping point. We don't know who Affleck's playing. We don't have any details on his character. Perry, I'm going to task with reading the actual source material and then telling me about it. But Perry, Ben Affleck, he's been in movies like this before, and it's worked out pretty well when he directed a movie that had a similar feel with Argo, so I think he's a credit to this cast. Ben Affleck, simply being an actor, somebody else's work. There's not a lot of superhero hype around this. I like this move for him.
It's refreshing to cover a story like this with him. I mean, I'm still rooting for him to get another go as Batman because I liked his take on the character, but it's nice to step away from that because when you get wrapped up in all that, it's easy to forget how great he is as an actor in general and also how great he is as a director. But pair anyone like him with D. Rees and I'm going to buy it. I'm probably not going to buy that book though, because the last time we covered it, I looked it up because, I'm pretty much only reading Stephen King and Star Wars right now. I looked it up and it didn't get the greatest reviews ever. So I actually didn't buy it, but it might come time, especially with the more and more this cast grows in a way that I like it. So maybe I'll read it eventually. But between Ben Affleck now and Anne Hathaway, especially, not that the role is similar at all, but hot off of Ocean's 8, where I think she was a scene stealer. She is so good in that movie. And I'm a huge fan of Toby Jones too. And it just feels like Toby Jones just gets steamrolled in every movie he's in just because of the part that he's handed. So I'm looking forward to seeing him work with someone like Dee Rees as well. But I'm a huge fan of her. Anything with her name on it is something I'm going to go say.
Yeah, and I'll take Rosie Perez in any project we can get her into because I love Rosie Perez. As far back as when I met her in White Men Can't Jump, I think she brings so much energy and charisma to the screen. She's a great powerhouse actress. The movie's currently filming in Puerto Rico right now, Jeff. Is this going to be on your watch queue when it comes out on Netflix?
It probably will. Just because of the talent involved. The plot does nothing for me, really. I don't really care about the Iran-Contra or whatever, or arming people. But
it's pretty interesting material. It's pretty depressing when you watch it from a historical perspective as well.
Yeah, I just don't know that much about it. Whatever. But the idea of Ben Affleck doing a D. Rees movie, I think, is great for him. I think that he needed to do something a little bit smaller, work with a really talented up and coming filmmaker like D. Rees. I like that Affleck is comfortable going back to Netflix after doing Triple Frontier with them. The idea of Batman and Catwoman kind of teaming up, that's a fun one, even though they're not Batman and Catwoman in the same universe.
Is it a fun one, or is it going to be the most annoying one ever once they start doing the press? Seriously, that's an honest question I have, is because you brought up he's doing Triple Frontier, which is also set to come out on Netflix next year. That also stars Oscar Isaac. Charlie Hunnam's in that movie. Look, I don't want to be the guy that every time Affleck has a movie come out say, okay, but when's he going to play Batman again? Right. Because if he wants to, that's totally up to him, and I could take it or leave it either way. But he's
not entirely up to him.
He's going to be asked this question. He's going to be asked this at every stop he goes on. I know sometimes PR, they'll tell reporters specifically, if you're interviewing somebody at a junket, hey, do not ask questions about this or this or this, but it's going to be on everybody's mind until it actually gets out there.
No, it's a fun thing to mention on a show like this, or to tweet like I did 3 months ago or whatever when this story originally broke, because this was in the news yesterday for I don't know what reason. I tweeted about it in May after the Ankler broke this.
That's before you were working with us.
Yeah,
so
I guess so.
We wouldn't have the inside scoop.
I think it's great that D. Rees is attracting this level of talent that A-listers like Anne Hathaway and Ben Affleck want to work with her. I think it just bodes well for her future.
Any chance?
As far as junketeers, junket people, don't even get me started on the questions that they ask. But if they are actually bringing up Batman and Catwoman, you don't even deserve to be there.
Jeff Snyder has spoken. Is there any chance that we see Affleck at Comic-Con next week?
No.
Yeah, no.
Hard no on that.
I'm just here asking questions, guys. All right. Hard no. We want to remind you guys at the end of the show, we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. I don't think it's 100% yet. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. We'll answer the finest ones that my eyes can see. Our last story is They Hear It. Legendary has secured the rights to a horror short. Deadline is reporting that Legendary Entertainment and the Picture Company have gotten the rights to first-time filmmaker Julian Terry's horror short, They Hear It. It was created by Terry as a proof of concept. Hey, this sounds like Lights Out. The short will be turned into a feature by Legendary and the Picture Company. The premise is that there is a mysterious and terrifying noise called the sound, capital T, capital S, the sound that attracts children when they hear it. Sources for Deadline compare the story to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Ooh. Kids hear the sound and they just can't stop walking towards it. A lot like when the Beatles landed in America in 1964. The rock and roll music, I tell you, it's the devil. Perri, you into the sound?
Maybe that was his inspiration. The Beatles all brought us this project.
When you see those kids in the Ed Sullivan crowd, they're just going crazy. They can't help themselves.
I am so happy for him. This just excites me because this is what we need. We're talking about a kid who won a short film contest and now has a project being picked up to actually be made into a feature film. We need more stories like this so we can discover new filmmakers. And before I even read the story, someone came and showed me a picture from I think it was our Jurassic Park screening, and Julian was there, and it was right after he had won the contest, and Riley and I were talking about it on an episode of Nightmares, and he was so excited to meet us. We were so excited to meet him, and it was just, it was like this big celebration of everything we love. But the two shorts of his, the one that won the contest and also the other one, Whisper. Have you ever seen his other short, Whisper? There's an idea in that. Just go Google Whisper. I don't want to spoil anything, because the joy that I felt when that thing first started and you realize what like the core little like catchy thing to it is. How have had another horror movie never tried to do that before? I'm not going to spoil what it is. Go watch it. But, you know, I watched those shorts. They're 2-minute shorts. I can't say, oh, he is like made to make feature films, but you can look at those shorts. You could see he's got an eye for framing, an eye for lighting, and hopefully now can transfer that into a feature.
Yeah, it gives everybody hope in the universe when you hear a story like this, Jeff. And that's why I compared it to Lights Out. Not necessarily the premise, but also David Sandberg made Lights Out to enter a short film competition. And you can check out the Lights Out short on YouTube. It's like 2 or 3 minutes long, and it's very scary. It does its job. It's very effective. Got into a feature film. Next thing you know, he's making other horror movies. Now he's making a big-time comic book movie. Same thing could happen. This is a potential fast-track opportunity for a director. Are you liking what you're hearing from this premise?
Hearing, yeah, good one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, is this the same person who did Larry?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't like Larry. I saw that short. I didn't really care for it. I'm not a big fan of the proof of concept short. This is something that I know a lot about. I wrote about it actually at the Wrap a couple years ago, because, you know, a few years ago, all these short films were getting picked up and optioned for features. None of them ever got made.
Not the director of this movie. The
writer. Okay.
The writer.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah. So Chase is the one that did Larry, but he did as a short, directed that movie.
Fair enough.
He's going to be working on this movie, but Julian Terry's the director.
I'll put it this way. This is a clear response to A Quiet Place. You're seeing a lot of movies, like even Chaos Walking.
A lot of sound-based horror movies.
Yeah, exactly. Chaos Walking with Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley, that's all about something called the noise. Like the noise, the sound. This is like the next sort of hot thing. The premise didn't really do anything for me. I'm happy for this kid who's going to get a chance to jump into the director's seat. We always need more people, but you know, even like David Sandberg, and I know he's got Shazam and has gone on to do some things. I thought Lights Out was terrible. I thought Lights Out was one of the worst horror movies I've seen in a long time. So I don't always think that this works, and I guess I wish the studio who bought this one best of luck.
All right. Well, you got a good luck from Jeff Sneider, which is all anybody can hope for when you wake up in the morning. We want to remind you guys that this Friday is the big time Schmodown Collider Collision. July 13th is when it all goes down. A bunch of matches split up into 2 vids. You guys are not going to want to miss all the carnage, all the surprises that ensue at the Collider Collision. We also have Ant-Man and the Wasp. There's a bunch of vids that we have currently on Collider Video, so subscribe right here. A lot of Ant-Man and the Wasp Fallout, 5 questions about where Ant-Man and the Wasp leaves us, and an all-new Heroes is going to drop later on today. So with that, we want to remind you guys that this is a podcast as well. Movie Talk is a podcast. You can check out the Movie Talk feed, and wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you want to check out your podcast, you can get Movie Talk every day. You can also get Mailbag on the weekends, and you can get Afterthoughts with Ryan and Jay. They talk about all the things going on in the Collider universe. Perri, in terms of Mailbag, can you give us any teases as to what we might see from Mailbag this coming weekend?
I cannot do that because I haven't picked any questions yet. So that's a call for all of you guys. If you tweet at us using the hashtag Collider Mailbag, I might pick your questions. And you know what could be fun? If you guys have any questions pertaining to San Diego Comic-Con, which is next week. So any kind of anticipation questions, I'm open to those.
Are you? What are you anticipating at Comic-Con? Because we talked about the panels yesterday with our buddy Joe Manganiello. Nightlife wise, what are you excited about?
Yeah. Nightlife.
All the parties.
Just, like, every single night we're there. No, really, but not just going to the parties. But one of the coolest things about Comic-Con that's been the case since I first started in this industry, and I was living in New York, is San Diego Comic-Con is usually the one time of year that you could see everyone, no matter where they live in the country. So it was always minus Jeff Sneider. Well, I got to meet you at TIFF, and film festivals have a similar vibe.
Party Perri is fun. Party Perri is a good time.
Yeah. You're missing out at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Party Perri as well. You get some Prosecco. It's a good time. She has the Prosecco. I have the Coors Light, and it's a good time in San Diego, and I'm going to be doing stand-up. You guys can get tickets right now at markellislive.com. Use the promo code SCHMOES. It's me and a bunch of special guests, including your hosts, Josh McCouga and Ken Knapsack.
Whoa.
Why are they hosting together? You guys are going to have to find out. They do a cool show called The Afternoon Podcast. They're kind enough to come down and host the show. A lot of special guest comics that you've probably seen in this space, as well as some great A-listers that you have not seen necessarily a lot on Collider, but they're two of the best comics that I know, in addition to all the comics you're going to see that you guys are probably familiar with. So check out the show. I think tickets are like $11 when you use the promo code. Get on it right now before they sell out. Friday night, 10 p.m. All right, we're going to move on to your live Twitter questions. We got some good ones here today. Alexander Bethel writes us, and he kicks off with, who would win in a fight, the Equalizer or John Wick? Jeff Snyder, you're leading off.
Oh, man, that's tough to put me on the spot like that. I mean...
Is it that tough? Is it?
I gotta go with John Wick. Yeah, come on. I mean, Denzel's getting a little up there.
I don't.
He's a little slower.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I started thinking about all the cool, like the gun fu that John Wick can do, and then the actual like martial arts, but again, Denzel was trained in this. He was trained in his character. The Equalizer was trained in this.
They're both
gave
trained.
it up for a little bit.
They could both it's a tough call. It's a
Yeah.
tougher call than I'm giving credit for, but I'm gonna go John Wick.
I feel like John Wick's a better driver. I know that in the new Equalizer, Denzel's he works for Lyft, but John Wick can drive in and out of stuff so fast. So I think a properly motivated John Wick. And yes, I said properly motivated.
This is a fight, though. Like, there wouldn't be driving, would there?
You got to drive to and from the fight. And, I mean, we've seen these movies. The fights sprawl out over multiple blocks, so I think a car could be involved. So John Wick, didn't he like hit a guy with a car? In the last movie, he was like driving a car, and then he like got out just in time and like I think
Denzel, a blow from Denzel would hurt a lot more than a blow from John Wick. Like, so, but he'd get fewer in.
Yeah,
like John Wick might wear him down over the course of a fight.
Okay, Perri, who are you taking? And this is all of a sudden a tougher call than I thought it was.
I'm a big fan of the Equalizer and Denzel in that role, but I have to give the edge to John Wick for that exact reason. I mean, he's getting older, and when you're fighting, being quick on your feet and having some stamina can really come into play.
We've seen him take a beating too, John Wick. Like, we've never really seen Denzel doesn't take a beating.
No, Denzel.
He doesn't allow himself to get roughed up on screen.
Here's what I worry about is that Denzel does that thing, because he does a really cool thing, and I haven't seen The Equalizer 2 yet, but from the trailer I've seen in the first movie, he does that thing every time he's about to kick somebody's ass or a group of people's asses. He sets his stopwatch, because he just there's some sort of timing thing that he has. And I think as soon as he goes to step his stopwatch, then John Wick would do something, and then that worries me, because John Wick is also a professional. But I'd like to see them be roommates at the Continental and then go team up and go beat the crap out of a bunch of bad guys. That's just me. All right, Rocky Drago 66 is up next, and he said he considers Johnny Depp and Bruce Willis in this camp. What actors are past their acting prime? that's just not nice. Although Johnny Depp and Bruce Willis, it seems like we're just getting a lot of mailed-in performances. I actually think of those two, I think Bruce Willis actually has a better shot to come back to some level of prominence. I think he can take a huge step forward to that this next weekend, and with everything that happens at Glass, because rumors, we're going to see a Glass trailer at Comic-Con. Bruce Willis, it could be there on the panel, and I think that if that, and then let's just say in some weird universe, Die Hard 6 is actually good, then Bruce Willis could go back into being a well-known actor and well-respected actor. Johnny Depp, the guy's in a lot of different trouble right now. He won't sell his island. He's got the Pirates of the Caribbean, and I think the future is brighter for Bruce Willis right now. Are there any other actors or actresses that we're throwing into that very unfortunate?
I mean, those are two great choices because I saw that Death Wish remake and Bruce was asleep.
I couldn't watch it.
Slept walk through that movie. But if I just had a name too and I just lost it.
Between those two, I'm with you. I think Bruce Willis has a much better chance of coming back into the spotlight, especially with Glass coming up. But whenever I try to think of an answer to this question, I just keep going back to the fact that, it's not even just about acting ability, but it's about the script you pair yourself with, the director that could bring that something special. So even though, we may be over and done with a certain person who has had a bad string of movies, there's always that chance that they're going to come back and pop.
You know who might be cooked, though? Travolta.
Well, I don't know. Gotti got a great response from
critics.
fans out there. Yeah, I mean,
that might be the nail in his coffin. I don't know if I see another Pulp Fiction movie coming around the corner to resurrect his career.
Isn't Travolta the one guy you never count? Isn't he like Frank Reich? Isn't he just because he's had like 6 career comebacks?
We love the guy. I watched Broken Arrow last night. I mean,
Is that why you're so sleepy this morning?
Yes,
you had to catch the end of that Christian Slater action vehicle?
But yeah, I think Johnny T's best days are behind him.
All right, let's do one more and call it a day. And this one hopefully will make us a little bit happier. Signor Pizza. God, I love that name. What movie from your childhood still holds up now, and which one doesn't?
I feel like some pizza company out there is going to buy that handle off this person for a lot of money at some
Not
point.
necessarily the handle. The name, maybe. The actual handle is at Senior69 Pizza.
Oh, no, that's
a little too on the
that's
nose
over
there,
and done
Pie.
with.
Hold it back.
There's a lot of things that still hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, I can name quite a bit.
We had blessed childhoods.
Yeah.
Mark.
I mean, one of the ones that I've watched and rewatched and will never change is Stand By Me. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I grew up wanting to find a dead body because of that so badly.
Well,
we named one of my...
Nice you have a dream, Perri.
I have a dog named Gordy because of that movie. A whole lot of wonderful things came out of that one, but that still holds up well. Gordy would probably eat a pie if we gave it to him.
I love that story that he tells. Jeff Snyder, a movie that does hold up from your childhood.
Guys, there's Home Alone, and then there's everything else. Okay, Home Alone is a perfect movie. It still holds up. If I was an 8 or 9-year-old boy, it would be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah. No, you know what? Thank you for saying that. Because sometimes people think that old Jeff Snyder over there, crusty old Mr. Snyder, the guy next door who won't give us our baseball back, they think he hates every movie.
They think I'm Old Man Marley.
No, we kicked off the show talking about the Joker movie.
Liked it.
Very excited to see that. The D. Rees Netflix movie that's coming out next year with Affleck and Hathaway, liked it. And Home Alone. Mr. Snyder, you may think that he's the creepy neighbor in Home Alone, but by the end of Home Alone and by the end of this episode, you're going to realize Mr. Snyder, one of the good guys.
Yeah, what doesn't hold up, that's a little bit tougher. I'll go with something like Camp Nowhere.
No.
Yeah, or like
Nowhere
Blank Check.
so
like,
good.
yeah, but like I haven't gone. I don't go
love
back
that
to
movie.
watch because I prefer Heavyweights.
You haven't rewatched Camp Nowhere?
I think Heavyweights is a lot better than Camp Nowhere.
I prefer Heavyweights to Camp Nowhere, but Camp Nowhere is still very good. There's another thing I've always wanted to do. Go put
The
on
Blob?
on a pair of roll. Well, the Blob,
I know what
yes,
you're
I
saying.
want to go put on a pair of rollerblades with sparklers in my hands and go flying off the top.
All right, it's not PC to say anymore, but was Camp Nowhere also a fat camp?
No,
It just had a lot of fat kids in it.
Okay,
No,
okay.
they make their own camp.
Okay, well, good. No, because Heavyweights was clear. That was
That's a
Heavyweights
fat
was like a
camp.
camp where
Yes.
like parents would send their kids to lose weight. That movie, God, I've never seen the whole Heavyweights because I saw one scene and it emotionally impacted me so much at the
Ooh.
time.
good.
Yeah, like one of the heavy guys, he's talking to one of the kids
Yes.
and he's like, "Hey, we may never win the Super Bowl."
I
And
know.
I'm sitting there watching it as a fat kid, and I'm like, "I'm never going to win the Super." Oh my God, that movie wrecked me. Why do you bring that up? It's
great.
Camp Nowhere. Do you want to follow that up with a bushwhacked commentary? I think that The Sandlot is a movie from my childhood that holds up. I think it's a perfect sport. I really think it's as close to perfection in the world of a kid's sports movie that you will ever see. I think it's the Willy Wonka.
Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks is... Some people have Mighty Ducks in their childhood. I was around then. I was a kid then, just for whatever reason. And I loved Emilio Estevez from Young Guns.
Yes.
And Young Guns 2, another movie from my youth that
a
holds
great
up.
movie, a great sequel.
See, Jeff Snyder
Maybe
loves
better than the
everything.
original.
Stop liking everything, Jeff. How about you have an
I
opinion
know.
on this show?
I'll get back to hating everything.
All right, then. Is there a movie that you guys can think of from our collective childhoods or youth that does not hold up the way that, other than Camp Nowhere?
I'm not saying this because I don't like watching it, because I do like watching this movie way too much. But when I saw it as a kid, I was completely enamored in what was on screen. And then when I saw it as an adult with a little more insight into the industry, I see all the problems. It's Congo. I love.
Ooh, okay.
I will never forget,
Okay.
because also it was somewhat soon after Jurassic Park, so I was just very into that whole kind of movie magic, take me into another place kind of thing. And I'll never forget the cardboard cutout billboard and being like, "Mom, I must see that." I saw it, I loved it, and yeah, I beat the crap out of that VHS tape for a while.
Even snotty, bratty 11-year-old Jeff Snyder knew Congo was not a good movie.
I think I did too. I think I was into Congo for a while, and then the end really got me, because the end, all those like mythological, the silverback gorillas that come out and attack, like it's so clearly just people in constant, like they're just standing up, like smoking cigarettes. It's like I think we know that like the primate acting has come a long way thanks to pioneers like Andy Serkis. Like people in
like
search,
that.
it just doesn't work anymore.
Smoking. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm like, no.
Just a bunch of gorillas like checking their watches, like, all right, I got to pick the kids up in a couple minutes. And that is all the time we have, because I got to go pick up my children from preschool. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank Perri Nemiroff, Jeff Snyder, who loves everything. Next time you're on the show, how about you hate something once in a while?
I'm going to try.
For God's sakes, get a nap as well. We will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, bright and early. We'll see you guys then, and see you on the YouTube chat. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.